And we are live. Well, salut, everyone. Congratulations to all Leaving Cert students. Just literally, as we're logging in, I just got this message. Tim, you're okay. And so, obviously, I won't say the student's name, but just to say he's got 350 points and he is probably going to take a 4-year college placing, and this is a sports media degree. And he's super happy, super excited, and thanks for your help. That's brilliant. So well done. That's another student on their way. So obviously today is Leaving Cert results day, big day for a lot of people. There's my camera there. So big day. Congratulations. Well done to all students and parents. Last night I put out a message to my parents community from my parent group from last year, and one of the parents, she sent a brilliant message. She said, I think I'm more nervous than my young lad. And I think that's the truth for a lot of parents. And I was speaking about this in my newsletter this morning, as in, a lot of parents, obviously, it's a big day, Leaving Cert results day. It's very public these days, and there's a lot of pressure. But I think the biggest challenge for people is, I think the optics, it's all very external now. And obviously it is a big milestone for for all young people. But my heart always goes out for the students who don't get the results. And I was there. First time I did the Leaving Cert, I was 150 points short for my first choice. I remember getting my results. This was before the internet, being handed my results, going down the canal to Croke Park, and all the lads were down on the canal whooping and hollering and celebrating. And if you've ever seen that movie Harry Potter, this was like a scene from the first movie where they're all going to Hogwarts for the first time, that magical place. And it felt like I was watching everybody else take off for this magical place, except I did not have the ticket to get on the train. And it's that feeling of being left behind. So for a lot of students today, some of them are feeling they've got the ticket, and some of them are feeling they're being left behind. So no matter where you're at today and where your teenager's at today, I think it's very important to kind of give yourself a little bit of a moment. It's a huge milestone. It's very public. And then there's the kind of trepidation. There was 95,000 people have applied for CAO. And this year they're reducing the adjustment. So this year's cohort is up against last year's, and they had more of an adjustment. So there's all these dynamics going on about college places and what happens next. But I think it's important to mark the moment. And, having a young person come out of secondary school, it's a big moment. So well done, everybody. And I hope you've got what it is that you want out of today. But as someone who has come through that disappointment, and I was writing about this in my newsletter, when one door shuts, another one opens. So it is important to just take a moment to kind of think about that and to be respectful of people who mightn't have got the results today. Again, it's noisy. There's a lot of stuff flying around, WhatsApp groups. So, but congratulations, everybody. I just want to say well done, everyone. So what's been happening in my world this week? Well, obviously today is results day. We are launching Navigate ADHD. This is my new parent program, and it's my new, we've a new platform being launched, MyNav, which is now live. Richard Fitzgerald, my business partner, we've teamed up on this. Rich is a tech genius and doing amazing work. And this morning we saw one of our first products, the No Homework Battles, the homework and study kickstart kit. Very excited about all of this. So, I deliver seminars, obviously coach teens, coach parents, but we've now got a whole platform and ecosystem because more and more people are contacting me for support, especially around ADHD and neurodiversity. And this is a big part of not just RayseTheGame, but now we've got Navigate ADHD, because a lot of parents will go to an ed psychologist, an educational psychologist, or you'll go to, a website, and you'll do a diagnosis or a diagnostic, and then you get a diagnosis, and it'll say things like, whether maybe to consider medication or to get accommodations in school. And then a lot of the time it'll say things like ADHD coaching, ADHD parent coaching. And then you're looking for an ADHD coach. Well, I'm an ADHD study coach, and then I coach parents around how to support and help your teenager, especially ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, your neurodiverse teen, to be able to create the structure in the home environment, to be able to communicate better, so you're connected in better with them and you can support them during this very difficult journey and complex journey through secondary school. So we're very excited about the Navigate program and where that's going to. And we're just about to launch the new Navigate parent program and what we call Navigate Plus Elevate. So Elevate's for teens, Navigate is for parents, and we're doing something called a twin-tracked approach. So parents and teens can get access to me through our new program, and we're teaching the tools to help them to be able to get the homework done, be able to get the study done, for you to be able to not have to remind them and be their executive function. So we're really excited about the new school year. And we want to start strong. So literally I've just recorded a video called 6 Ways to Help Your ADHD Teen Start the School Year Strong. And the first big one, that's 2, should be 1. The first big one is sleep. Sleep. It's a real problem for teens. They're jaded, they're wrecked when they go into school. And especially now over the summer, with it being for ADHD unstructured at home, a lot of unstructured time, staying up late, in bed till 12 o'clock the next day. And suddenly you got to start getting up at 6:30 in the morning. So you want to get on top of that as quick as possible. I'm lucky because even though I didn't feel it at the time, but I grew up in an agricultural household. And you were not allowed to lie in bed. Never. So Saturdays you're out and all week you're out, and it just trained me to be able to get up and get out in the morning. So at the time I didn't like it, but now as a parent said to me many years later at a parent pep talk, she said, "Ray, you were lucky." So now I feel that sense of gratitude. So getting on top of the sleep, and in that video I covered 6 other ways to start the school year strong. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that video in there. You can go and find it. Other things that we were doing this week and coming across my desk. Well, we're working on the Make the Move booklet. Really excited about that. This is the kind of black and white version. I don't have the color version yet. So I do a transition from primary into secondary school program. And I'm about to go back on the road next week, and next Thursday I'll be down in a school in Waterford, and we will be working with first years to help them make the move into secondary school. So a lot of the issues that come up, it's they're worried, going into school. Obviously parents are as well. Things like getting lost, being able to make friends. Is my teen going to be, some of them aren't even teenagers yet, are they going to be bullied? Are they going to be able to cope with the extra homework and then all these exams and teachers and this big building and lockers and all those type of things? So I put in place this program to help them transition into primary school and to be able to make friends and get a good routine going and to be able to take down their homework and create a checklist and all this stuff, and what is homework, what is study, and the expectations, and how to ask for help, which a lot of people don't know how to do, especially the younger ones. So they text home to mom or dad. And here's the thing, do not dive into the rescue. They have to learn to be able to ask the person beside them, behind them, for help, or the year head, or their class tutor, or the deputy principal, or whoever it is, the learning resource teacher, special needs assistant, the special... So to be able to ask for help is absolutely important. And that's a key skill for life that I've learned over the years. So we've got the Make the Move program and booklet coming. And I'm excited about that because I've threatened for years. I could actually run that seminar right through the summer. So it's something I've thought about. Maybe we'll do that next year. But this year we're working on Navigate ADHD. Um, this week I was coaching students, so I had two students as part of the Elevate program, and we always do the kind of high impact session. So the first session where we're setting some goals, we're looking at targets. We look at what went wrong last year. So two students I was working with this week were 6 years, and we were asking, and I was finding out about fifth year. What I'm seeing is a trend. And the trend is this: a lot of students are struggling in fifth year. Why? Because they've drifted through transition year. Transition year is a different type of year. It's an experiential year. And this is where you want to be doing things like work experience, going on the trips, getting to know your classmates. It's a great year to mature as well. So for a 16-year-old, it can be a really important year. And often, sometimes you can meet a totally different kid in fifth year. If you're watching this internationally, you're probably talking about, I think it's like 10th grade, I think, in the US. So the last 2 years in secondary school, when they're 17 and 18, is fifth and sixth year, depending on when they started school, obviously. But fifth year, I'm seeing a lot of students struggling because the courses are bigger, and they've kind of dumbed down the junior cert. And there's obviously the big focus now is on well-being around the junior cert. So they've taken the academic pressure off and put it onto the CBAs, and they've kind of lessened the importance of the junior cert. So what happens is then students go into fourth year, they do this very experiential year, which is amazing, setting up businesses and what's it called? Cote couture. Do you know the thing with the fashion and all these young social innovators and all these different brilliant things? I used to run transition year programs for years, leadership programs. I remember being down at CBC in Cork for many years doing seminars with their transition year students. And that's where I cut my teeth, actually, when I started out as a speaker, working with TYs. So it's a brilliant year, especially those types of courses. And then you will meet a new teen in fifth year, but then they struggle in fifth year because the academic rigor is a lot stronger. The expectations are stronger. TYs, by the way, struggle in fourth year. Why? Because it doesn't have the same level of structure. So people ask me all the time, should my teen do fourth year? Well, if they've got ADHD, I had this big discussion with a parent last May. It was probably best her boy went straight into fifth year. He was getting into a lot of trouble. It would have helped from a maturity perspective, but he could have hung out with the wrong lads in fourth year. So I think he's going straight through to fifth year now. One of the big things that came out of one of those coaching sessions with one of the students I was working this week was she wasn't writing down her homework. And then she wasn't doing her homework. So she spent a lot of last year kind of drifting through fifth year and not getting homework done. She's extremely bright. She's well able. But it is kind of getting the basics in place. And part of the basics, especially with, and by the way, you don't want to get into a toxic relationship with your teen over things like homework. These are certain expectations. We put this in place as part of our family contract on our Navigate program. So what we help you with parents is to create the structure at home, because it's very hard when you're a parent and you're busy and you've got a job and you're trying to bring in money and you're trying to pay the bills and you got all this stuff, and then your ADHD teen is tearing the house down. Well, that's why people bring me in. So we help you create this structure, a family contract, if you will. Creating expectations. This is what we expect from you. These are your privileges. And also to create structure around things like time. So between 5 and 6, maybe the Wi-Fi is turned off, you do your homework. Too many teenagers go home and go to bed. I'm seeing this trend a lot. And for this girl, she wasn't getting her homework done. So one of the goals we've set for this year is to get her homework written down, to get it done on the same day. So procrastination is a big issue, especially for ADHD. Putting things off. You get 2 essays on a Tuesday and suddenly it's the weekend. They're due in on Monday and they're still finishing them off on Monday morning. So that's an issue. But that becomes then a trend for life. So you're going to be in a job where you've got a project to get in, get finished on time. So you want to start to build that muscle now. The other teen I was working with this week, we were doing a lot of work around confidence. And what I was trying to convey to him is that confidence is a skill. Confidence is something you can learn. I used to get very nervous speaking in front of audiences. And, through lots of practice, going to Toastmasters, making lots of mistakes, I learned how to speak and communicate and speak confidently. And one of the things I suggested to this boy is, getting into shops, saying hello, ordering things like takeaways. One of my students last year, one of her tasks was to for the Chinese meal at the weekend, she had to put in the order. And I know social anxiety is a huge issue for teens. Speaking on the phone, getting into a shop. Another student I was working with last year, she struggled with social anxiety big time. So I remember one of the tasks I had for her was to go into one of the big shopping centres in Dublin and to walk around just to kind of start to put ourselves into that environment. And for autistic students and people with autism, that sensory overload can be absolutely massive. But the big point, confidence is a skill. And also what I was trying to get across with him is the kind of what I call the bamboo. You got to be like the bamboo. So next year is going to be a pressurized year, but instead of breaking, we got to bend like the bamboo. So, it is hard. When you got tests, exams, you got deadlines, you got orals, all this stuff comes thick and fast, especially in an exam year. But instead of breaking under that pressure, we need to bend. So a lot of the things that I work on with students is things like confidence, not just how to study, how to cope with pressure, how to deal with expectations. And a lot of the time, it's the internal expectation that's, really getting to a lot of students, and judgment, trying to keep up with their peers and what other people think of me. The way I look, the way I talk, the way I walk, it cripples a lot of young people today. It's very sad to see. And then we're comparing ourselves all the time with our peers or our brother or our sister. So one of the students I was working with recently, his sister's a high achiever. He's ADHD. He always feels he's the one that's not good enough, not smart enough, being left behind. And what I try to do in my program is to communicate, look, your brain is wired differently. You have an executive function delay. And that can be trained. We can work with that. We can teach you tools. We can teach you the skills to be able to build up that prefrontal cortex through routines, through having checklists. We can train your brain. We can train your memory. And over time then, and by the way, having ADHD can be your superpower. Having that level of creativity. Only yesterday I was speaking to someone about this. These are the disruptors, the entrepreneurs, the pop stars and rock stars, the poets. These are the people that are the wonderful creators that make our world very rich, the inventors. But we need to be like the bamboo. Because when we're putting ourselves under that amount of pressure and the amount of self-generated pressure, especially today, leaving cert results day, a lot of students, they put themselves under so much pressure to get that points. And I was in that bracket too, to get that external validation. There's only one validation you need, and that's the internal validation from you, that you can feel good and smart enough yourself. And that brings me to the parents, because a lot of parents feel judged as well. I mean, your teenager is kind of an extension of you. And if you do have a neurodiverse teen who's struggling with school, study, and exams, and all these different things, they're getting into trouble, you feel very judged. And then your brother, your sister has a child that's a high achiever, and you feel this constant, God, look at mine in comparison to them. There's a lot of that going on. You got to give yourself a little break. Embrace your individuality. Embrace their individuality. Got to run your own race in the middle of all of this. And to focus on your strengths and to focus on your team's strengths. And a lot of the time with things like ADHD, it's genetic. So, if they've got it, maybe you've got it, or the partner has it. So you got to work with that. And that's what it is. So with all of this, getting a diagnosis, it's a piece of the jigsaw piece. And that's what I was asked yesterday. How did I respond when I got my diagnosis? I said, well, first I was like, there's no way I've got this. And then when I did find out, I was like emotional, if I'll be honest. Then you feel a bit broken, you feel a bit weirded out. And then I think of it like jigsaws and dominoes. You know, it's a big part of the jigsaw piece. It helps you put a picture together of you and your life. And then you can put in place some dominoes. Dominoes are things that can fall over very quickly. You can push them over. So you can get routines and habits, and you can create structure in your life. And that's a big part of working with your ADHD brain as well. So that's what I do with parents, is to help you to work with your teen and your ADHD brain. And that way then, you know, things like making the move into secondary school become a lot easier. Being able to create a homework habit, or to get the study done, or to get through that workload, or to create a relationship with a teacher is very important. And relationships, they're probably the most important thing out of all of this. So I remember a student I was working with 2 years ago. He's a fabulous young guy, but he was a fish out of water in the school he was in. He was in a very rural school. He was originally non-national. He's quite Irish, but his heritage would be non-national. But one of the things I did say to him, because he did get a hard time in secondary school, is to thank your teachers and to acknowledge some of your peers. You know, people remember you for two reasons. And usually that's either you're an asshole or you're awesome. So people tend to remember the people who weren't so nice and kind to them. And that's what it is. It comes down to relationships, respectfulness, and the biggest respect that I teach young people they can have is for themselves. And I hope that comes across in my seminars. So big message out of all this is to start the school year strong. How do we do that? Getting our routine in place, getting our structure in place, getting our rhythm in place, and to look forward to the year and starting to build those relationships, build those routines. I know a lot of parents are dreading next week. I know a lot of young people are dreading, especially after the awesome summer we've just had. But it is about hitting the ground running. Get your materials. I know a lot of parents are getting the school bags and all that sort of stuff, and the pens and the homework journals. Congratulations, all the Leaving Cert students. Congratulations, parents, on getting to here. And for everybody starting next week, best of luck, bon voyage. Hopefully I'll see you somewhere down the track with Raise the Game or Navigate ADHD. And on that note, it's time to get out of here. This is Raise the Game Live. My name is Ray Langan, and it's time to get out of here. And don't forget, day by day, we are raising the game. How do we turn this off now, Tim? Finish. There we go. Hasta pronto, amigos.